Hello, Aries, and welcome to your monthly intuitive insights and advice for February 2022. This video will be for Aries Sun, Moon, and Rising. And yeah, I'm super excited to be here for you today to do this reading, and so grateful to have you share this time with me. I hope the beginning of the year has gotten off to a good start for you, and if not to worry. It's my hope and my intention that I can connect with and channel some messages that will be uplifting and empowering and really useful in terms of kind of anticipating what might be coming in the month of February and how to make the absolute very best of it. So I've already shuffled your 3 oracle cards just because those can take a little while to come out, just for the sake of time for the length of the video. And then we are going to pull some tarot in addition to that, and likely some affirmations as well. So I'm excited to get into it and see what comes up for you all. Okay, so before we shuffle the tarot, I'll just flip over your oracle cards. So your first one is Mintaken. It says longing for home, belonging, the original lightworkers. Okay. Maybe I can just put it up here like that. Your second oracle card is Seraphos Green Quartz. Right, and your third oracle card is Big Bold Vision. Ooh, I kind of like this energy already. Okay, let's see if I can get that there. All right, so we're going to get you some tarot. We're going to use the Lightworkers deck to get some cards out, and then we'll do some clarification later with the Wild Unknown tarot. All right, so let's take a look. So your first card, 9 of Swords. All right, Aries Sun, Moon, and Rising for February 2022. Right, so you've got King of Cups and 5 of Swords. Right, for Aries Sun, Moon, and Rising. We've got the Chariot. Let's see, and finally, last card. Right, we have the Queen of Swords, and bottom of the deck is the 5 of Wands. I'm going to move everything up here. All right. So I'm just going to take a read of these cards, and then we'll get some clarifiers for additional information. But already I see like there's a sense of a bigger purpose that you are either feeling connected to or you already are connected to. Maybe it's something that you don't quite know, you don't quite understand, how that is supposed to take shape or what that's supposed to look like. Maybe you're not clear on the details. And I also sense that there's a lot of like resistance and like maybe a need to control that's kind of interfering with the flow of your life. So things might be feeling like you might feel like you're struggling to really control your life or guide it in a direction of your choosing. And so the really, which is not super surprising for Aries, but the really interesting thing is, so with this Mintaken here, longing for home, belonging, the original Lightworkers. So that's kind of like a starseed card, which you may or may not know about star seeds or the whole concept. If it's something that sparks your interest, I do recommend that you do some research and see what kind of information resonates with you, what might be helpful to you. So it is possible. I believe that these are kind of like the original star seeds, and the whole concept is this idea of feeling like you don't quite belong, or feeling like you haven't quite found your place. It's kind of like like a longing for home, as it says here. So a lot of time, this kind of energy, especially if it's associated with something, important that we feel called to do or create, that could be spiritually, that could be emotionally, that could be in terms of career, something that can have a good impact, like a positive impact, not only on ourselves, but on others. A lot of times you may not be able to find your tribe, right? Or you may feel alone or kind of isolated because there's not quite anyone that connects with the world and connects with life and concepts and information quite the same way that you do, or has the same kind of inclination that you do, or ideas or desires. And so the idea is, if you are longing for this sense of belonging, it's not that you don't belong here. It's that you kind of have to give yourself space to exist outside of the box, like outside of this traditional framework, because it would be a real shame for you, to have the gift of, whatever it is, your creativity, whatever it is that you can offer. And like with light workers here, it might be something that is like healing and uplifting to other people. And maybe you just haven't found the right outlet for that, whether you're looking to develop a career that supports that, whether it's a personal hobby or interest, whether it's assembling like a group of people, who can kind of congregate for the same united goal, whatever it happens to be. It would be a shame if you didn't allow yourself the opportunity to kind of explore that and connect with that and to create that for yourself, simply because it's different and you don't know, or you haven't met anybody who's really on that same page just yet. And so if you're feeling that way, if you're feeling like a little bit displaced, whether you identify with the spiritual aspect or the star seed or light worker part of it or not, you're really being encouraged to create your own space, your own home, your own sense of home. Right? So create that space for yourself and allow yourself to engineer something that feels unique and powerful and aligned to you. And trust that even if it seems so, with this green quartz here, it's also telling us that, we have to connect to our heart space. We have to live a heart-centered life. And so we have to, be able to go with the flow of things. And you can't necessarily figure everything out in advance and then, engineer this perfect thing or this perfect outcome and just make it happen, right? The energy of this is that you are being guided to start connecting with life, right? Experiencing life as it is, accepting it as it is, and seeing that the things that come up for you are providing you opportunities to learn and grow and further connect with yourself and this energy. And so it's about accepting that there are some things that are within our control and that we can change or we can influence for ourselves. And then there are a lot of things that aren't. And to be able to make peace with the things that are outside of our control and trust that life is still working for us, and just kind of drop that resistance. Because if you are meant to carry out this large vision, and it could be related to this, it could be related to something spiritual, you have to be willing to be your most authentic self, even if it's something that doesn't necessarily make sense to other people, even if it's something that isn't already known and established and valued. Whatever it is that's kind of there might be an idea or a creation or something, like something that you're feeling called to do or to create or to connect with in your life, and you might be kind of blocking yourself because it seems strange, or it just seems too weird, or it's just not feasible. The thing that I got is like feasible or practical, or you don't think there's a market for it necessarily. And I also get that with this Five of Wands, that, you know, maybe this lack of a feeling of belonging has dampened you to the point where it's kind of like you either have received criticism or you've been put in a place where, you know, people are maybe not necessarily attacking you, but really kind of misunderstanding who you are and what you're trying to do. So whether in your relationships, like your personal life, it could be at work as well, and people just don't really see what you're trying to create or what you're trying to offer or how you can add value to a situation. And so you might be facing some resistance and think, well, maybe this resistance is happening because I'm not meant to do this, or this vision is too big, or it's too different, or it's too out there and people don't want it. And I think it's important to recognize that just because other people don't understand or aren't able to fully grasp what it is that you're able to offer, it doesn't mean that it's not of value, and it doesn't mean there's not a place for it. Chances are it's something that you need to create because there is a need for it. And so it's like maybe you've been losing sleep over the fact that like you haven't quite been successful at this and you don't know how to be successful. So this big vision, this thing that you're being asked to connect with and to start bringing into your reality, I feel like you've tried. I feel like you've tried and it hasn't worked out, but you're you're kind of bound to the limitations of your past experiences, and you're kind of operating you're trying to operate within a solid framework that doesn't really allow for the expansiveness of what it is that you're really trying to do or what you're really trying to offer, you know? So it could be like you have an idea that's just so far beyond other people's comprehension, or it's just so out there that people aren't willing to invest in it, or people don't think that it's worthwhile. And I think that it's kind of beaten you down a little bit, and like maybe you're really in your head about it. Maybe you have a lot of anxiety and you have a lot of doubts, and this thing that you've felt internally called to do is just not being received or validated the way that you would hope. And there's like a feeling of settling, not in the cards, but I get the impression that there's like a bit of settling that's going on. And with the energy just of these oracles in general, it's basically saying like you can do whatever you want, you can create whatever you want. And yes, you do have to kind of go with the flow of life. You have to accept things as they are, the things that you can't change. You have to figure out how to integrate that into your reality, but you don't have to be bound by the expectations of others, right? You don't have to limit yourself and box yourself in terms of how you can do things or what you can create. So there's kind of like finding a balance between surrender and acceptance and flowing with life, you know, releasing that need to know everything and need to control, and still being able to step into the energy of this big idea and still take the steps to bring it into the world, right? Because I feel like the ways that you've been going about trying to incorporate this into your life, whatever way that makes sense to you, it's been safe, or it's been through certain avenues that are already established, and they're just, yeah, like I said, there hasn't been room for it. And so it really, I truly feel that it is something uniquely yours that you have to offer and that you're going to have to create. Like, I don't think anyone's going to do it for you or necessarily give you a platform to do it, but I think it's something that you can very well create yourself. But the trouble is that in order to create it, you have to be able to let go of that need for control, right? And that need to kind of have all of the answers, have all of the steps that can just be followed, know what things are going to look like. So, and that's the trouble. That's the trouble of anything related to like the creativity, anything related to spirituality, and like kind of bringing something new into existence, right? Especially something that is meaningful to you or that you are feeling called to do, especially if it's not really acknowledged or hasn't really connected with anyone in the way that it connects with you, is that the more that you try to plan and control and figure everything out, the less clarity you're going to have. Because the trouble with this is like, it really is kind of one step at a time. And, there is no real way to know exactly what should be done or exactly how it should be done, right? And I feel like maybe you're hard on yourself also because you don't have that clarity. You don't have that plan. You don't know each and every step, or maybe you thought you did and you tried it and it didn't work. And I think the challenge is letting go of those limiting thoughts and those limiting beliefs and the impact that it has on your emotions and your emotional stability and your ability to like intuitively connect with opportunity and what feels right to you. Because I think that your attempts previously to connect with this big thing that really is meant to be something meaningful to you, I think it's only just kind of made you shrink back into yourself in discouragement because it hasn't panned out as intended. And I think it's important to kind of be willing to let go of those past experiences and the limiting beliefs and the discouraging thoughts that you have about the feasibility of it, in order to allow yourself to get into a space where you're simply moving forward and taking those steps, right? And like gaining momentum, right? With confidence and being able to kind of just keep things in balance as you go, right? So take one step and be willing to have that experience in its entirety, and then take the next step. And it's your intuition that will guide you. And as long as you're in your head, and as long as you've got these like kind of false perceptions or these skewed beliefs about yourself and about whatever this is for you, you're not going to be able to really connect with that intuition, connect with your creativity, and have that emotional stability and confidence to really like charge after whatever it is that you're trying to create with confidence, right? Because the chariot is fast movement, it's intentional movement, it is confident and it's strong and it's powerful, and it's, this, he's on his way, right? He's on his path, and he's able to kind of keep things in balance so that he can get to his end goal. And I think right now, the thing that's keeping you from getting to that goal or manifesting that vision is just your internal state, your thoughts, and this kind of like discouragement, and maybe feeling like it's not something that will ever make sense to anyone else. And I don't see that that's the case, right? So it's difficult to kind of grasp that when you're in the middle of those thoughts and emotions. But I really do get the impression that this is meant to be something expansive for you, even if it's just a hobby. To be honest with you, even if it's just something that you start off as like a hobby, if you're wanting to develop a career, that's all well and fine. But I think limiting yourself in terms of what it can be or how it can come about or what it needs to offer you or other people really isn't allowing you to fully step into that space where you're connecting with yourself and you are stepping outside of the box and bringing the idea to life, right? Like, it can't be constricted, right? And you can't fight to control it. It really is a matter of one step at a time, right? And being okay with one step at a time, and knowing that even if you still are, 5-10 steps in and you don't have this amazing clarity and things aren't completely solid and ready, that's okay, right? And that's where you're meant to be. So it's like you're meant to be at each step. Take what you can from each step. Use your own intuition and follow your own truth, right? Because that's the ultimate outcome, is that you can start moving towards something of your own creation that's reflective of your own personal truth, regardless of whatever kind of experiences you've had in the past and whatever thoughts and limiting beliefs are kind of haunting you or dragging you down. You know, you can create. At the very least, maybe your first step is creating this space for you where that it is yours. It is your energy. It is what is important to you. It gives you a safe space to be yourself and to connect with things that are, more on your plane. And it can kind of provide like a safe space to incubate even the concept or the possibility of this big vision that you might have, whatever this is that's calling to you that you want to create, right? Like this seems like a really, really good month to kind of lay the foundation for yourself by letting go of all of this challenging, mental energy and being able to further connect with your emotions and your intuition and kind of translate that into action. And to know that you do not have to control the outcome and you don't have to know every single step and have this like full plan in order to be successful in the long run, but also to take those steps, one after the other. And so even if you don't know exactly where you're going or what that looks like, you can still take confident action and you can still move forward. And it's just about trusting your ability to keep things in balance and not let your past experiences, not let your current experiences, not letting a lack of sense of being seen or accepted or belonging or understood to keep you from really like actualizing that dream or that truth, or just even showing up more authentically for yourself and giving yourself the space that you feel like maybe others aren't giving you. So we're going to get some clarification for these cards. So for 9 of Swords, we've got Ace of Pentacles, King of Cups. Ooh. We have the Star. For the 5 of Swords, we have the 10 of Cups. Right, and finally for the Chariot, we have the High Priestess. Oh, and I guess we'll clarify the Queen of Swords as well. Okay, finally, Queen of Swords. All right, this one's taken a while to come out. Right, let's get clarification on the Queen of Swords for Aries. Okay. The 3 of Pentacles. And we have the Moon at the bottom of the deck. I don't know if you can see that. I might have to shift this a little bit. It's a little tight here. But yeah, so that's like, it's very, I'm getting more of the same energy just with this clarification. So yeah, I think that the underlying energy, this little bit of discouragement, or maybe this, this sense of people not necessarily appreciating or accepting, or maybe kind of fighting you a little bit on whatever you're trying to do and whatever your approach is. I think that has sparked a lot of fear, right? There's a fear of the unknown. There's fear of, if you actually are going to be able to turn this into whatever it is that you're trying to do, to turn it into something that's ultimately going to be fulfilling, right? And with the Ace of Pentacles is saying, like, it's time to kind of plant this seed, right? This is the right time to start. And if you are in this like 9 of Swords energy where you've got this unhelpful thoughts and you've got this kind of this past energy and these limiting beliefs that are kind of haunting you, then that is going to interfere with exactly what you're able to plant, right? And what that is going to turn into, right? So really, it might feel as though all is lost, and it might feel like this is something that is never going to make sense to anyone. But I really think that if you do take the steps to create it, even just for yourself, to have that space for yourself, you will draw in more people. Because with the star here also, it tells me that it's not only going to be healing for you, but for others as well. And, it's the star is also about like, being divinely guided, following your heart, following, your divine path. And it's also about hope, right? And connecting with hope and strength through hope. And so, if you feel like maybe you're a little bit beaten down because this thing just hasn't gotten off the ground, or it just hasn't been understood, and you're kind of lacking a little bit of emotional fulfillment because of that, this is the key to your own personal healing. This is the key to kind of having hope and having something to connect with and to look forward to and to enjoy, that's outside of all of the other things that you find to be limiting, or that make you feel like, you're kind of on the outside. And you might not be totally outcast, but it might simply be that you are surrounded by loving, supportive people and positive environments, but it's just that, as lovely as everyone is, they still don't quite get it. And that's okay, right? Because it's very much a personal thing. And these limiting beliefs and these experiences from the past that have kind of gotten into your head and maybe made you want to shut down or give up a little bit. With the 10 of Cups being here, like, that is wish fulfillment. That is, all of your dreams coming true. That is, the ultimate kind of happiness and satisfaction. And with the High Priestess and the Chariot, it's very much trusting yourself, trusting your gut feelings, trusting your intuition, trusting that, this sense that you get is for your highest good, right? This thing that you want to create, or you're feeling called to do or to connect with, is for your highest good. And that as much as you might be afraid to take steps into the unknown and not have that plan all mapped out, and to not necessarily, have total control, you can have control of yourself and how you handle those situations. And you can take those steps and trust that you can intuit exactly what is going to be best from moment to moment. And the more that you have that connection to yourself, and that like, keep your mind as like a sacred space where you're not letting, this kind of, negative or not so helpful energy in, it's going to allow you to have more clarity. And I think also that what came to mind is like, the tough thing is, if there's something that you're trying to create that you feel like people already don't really understand or might not connect with, and you're already feeling a little bit disconnected in that sense, the other hard thing about not having control over every little step and not being able to plan is that when people ask you about it, or when people talk to you about it, it's never going to make sense, because you're figuring it out as you go. How can you possibly explain to someone else? And so it might also be discouraging if people who, want to support you and who take interest still don't quite get what it is that you're trying to do, because it's going to be this work in progress. And, that's okay. That's very much where you're meant to be. And I think it's going to be a really wonderful month for you to really just start honing in on who you are and what you're feeling and why, and focusing on yourself, giving yourself that space, the things that you feel that you're missing in your life, the things that you wish that you could get from other people, figuring out how you can do that for yourself, or get that for yourself, or give that to yourself. And with the 3 of Pentacles here, sharing your truth is going to help you, set a foundation, right? And something tangible. So there is the opportunity for something tangible to come of this, and perhaps something that will connect you with other individuals who are like-minded. It might be that by speaking your truth firmly and not being afraid to maybe be misunderstood, because you have a sense of belonging for yourself, that you can kind of take and leave whoever does and does not resonate with whatever you're doing, and trust that, if there's no one in your corner just yet, or, not in the ways that are important to you, that's just a part of your path. And also, I kind of get the impression that it could very well be something that you create, in the physical world, right? Like it might translate into a job. It might translate into money. It might translate into, a creative like a work of art. It could be a group. It could be music. It could be literally anything, but there might be a tangible aspect of this that you're able to actually take the first step of like anchoring it down into your physical reality. But I would also say not to get carried away with trying to set like benchmarks for success on how evident this work or this movement is in your physical reality, because I think it has a lot to do with your internal space and getting your own kind of thoughts and feelings and your intuition in check, in balance, and being able to really connect with and make the most of that. But I do see that there is potential. I just wouldn't want you to be blocked by needing to manifest something in your physical reality or in the external world, and especially not relying on that to bring something to you that you don't already have. So that's pretty much everything I'm getting for this reading. So before we go, I'll get you an affirmation for this month. Okay. So it says, sometimes no is the most loving response. And we've got peace is in my pulse. And then finally, by spreading loving energy, I attract more love. All right, so yeah. So it looks like in terms of people who maybe don't fully understand, some boundaries might need to be put in place, obviously from a loving place, and maybe even just boundaries around yourself and your own energy so that you can really focus on creating a safe space for yourself and a space of you know, where you feel you belong, and not letting kind of this defensive or aggressive energy, or maybe this like misunderstanding or misinterpretation of what it is you're trying to do for yourself to kind of impact you, to just protect your space a little bit better. And just, you know, connect with peace, right? This is the same as the star, like peace and hope and healing. Those are the things that keep us in a high vibrational state, even when the world around us seems to be a little bit chaotic, or, you know, even if we feel a little out of alignment, or like we're kind of missing out on some of the things that are important to us, to be willing to connect with this and to integrate it as a part of who you are each day, to have maybe like a practice. You know, a gratitude practice is great, and maybe bringing peace into your gratitude practice or meditation will be helpful as well. And just ultimately, you know, sharing love, because especially if you're feeling like you don't quite belong, and you're trying to create something big for yourself, the best thing that you can do is lead with love. And you know what, no matter what anyone brings to you, you can't go wrong approaching them from a place of love. And that's only going to bring more in. So like law of attraction, manifestation, I think that's really wonderful. And those are really great messages for you for the month of February. So Aries, I think I'm going to leave your reading there. I really hope that this was helpful to you or illuminating, and hopefully, you know, even if it doesn't make a huge amount of sense, maybe there will be something that kind of comes up for you as the month progresses where this will fall into alignment. But it was a pleasure to read for you. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to go check out my channel at Bright Soul Collective Tarot and take a look at some of my other readings. And feel free to like and subscribe. Leave me a comment if you feel so inclined to let me know how it resonates for you. But in the meantime, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm so grateful for you spending this time with me, and I look forward to reading for you again in the future. And I'm sending you all the best.